Oh, sorry.
Hey, my name's Michael Zarek, and
I'm Amanda.
And we're here at Chao in Fishers, Indiana. It's a Vietnamese restaurant. They primarily serve Vietnamese street food like banh mi and pho. But this is one of Amanda's favorite places in the Indianapolis area to come for food.
Yes, it is.
Can you tell the people why you come here? At least
The pho is delicious. I love their lunch special, and I absolutely love that they work with local farms to make most of the things. And today we found out that they are making probably almost everything that you love on their menu from scratch. And they take the time to do it, and it takes a lot of time to do it.
Mm-hmm. And Amanda's own dentist is one of the owners, so that's something we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, and how I have great gums.
And gums. So that's something we talked about during our conversation today, but we really hope you come support Chao up here in Fishers, and we hope you enjoy our conversation with Dr. Vu and Carlos.
Did you want to shout out the guy behind the camera?
I always want to shout out the man behind the camera. Thank you so much to Chris Wansettler for supporting us with his production quality here. And
Beautiful.
He's an amazing visual artist or photographer who also runs a podcast called OK as Cook. So check that out as well. But yeah, we hope you enjoy the conversation. And again, as always, if you have any suggestions on where we should go next, send them our way.
Thanks. Let's go eat.
Bye. So Amanda told me to start with a question. I'm going to ask it for her.
Okay.
I need you to go on record and tell the world how good her gums are.
Oh, her gums healthy. Yes, we checked.
Yes.
Yeah, very healthy. Not just her gum, her teeth are healthy too.
Yeah.
It's been like that for a while.
Had very little plaque, is what they said.
Yeah.
I told her my water pick.
She's never said that to me.
You've never been told.
I've been going to her office.
Listen.
Since the beginning, and she's never said that about my teeth.
Well, if you don't have a second visit, you're good, okay? Yeah. If you have another visit after the cleaning, that's not good. But, after,
All right.
Yes.
To start this off, who are you guys and where are we?
We're the owners of Chao Vietnamese Street Food, and we're here at Chao.
Yeah.
And what are your names?
Well, Hong Vu.
Carlos Villagran.
Yes.
And how long has this been here? How long has Chao been?
10 years. Can you believe it?
Congratulations.
10 years. We made it.
That's
10 years?
through the pandemic.
Yes.
October 8th,
Through-
2015 is when we opened up. October 8th.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We wanted to open earlier, remember that?
Oh,
we
yeah.
wanted to open September, but our floor guy messed up, and then I messed up with the floors and ordering, and
Yeah.
It
was
never
a
happens that
disaster.
way.
It was a disaster.
With the restaurants, you always plan for the best, but things always happen, and so. But we had our doors open in October of 2015.
October
and
8th. I still remember the first customer. He was so uninterested in me talking to him. It was hilarious. Like I opened up and I was so pumped, and it was just me, and her sister was gonna help me out serving, but I was just me in the back, and I had one of my friends that was also a cook. Oh, I remember, have I told you this? Well, I mean, you kind of lived it, but so the guy, it was like 11:05, and the guy walked in, and he looked around. He was so uninterested in conversation and anything. He was like, "What would you like?" I was so pumped. I was like, "He's the first one, the first customer," and he was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll take the banh mi," and I was like, "Perfect," I charged him, and he sat down over there, and I went back to the kitchen, made the food because her sister wasn't here yet, and I brought it to him. I gave it to him, and I stared at him, and he was like, "Thanks, man." It was just yes. He went back. I came back, and I gave him a dessert. I was like, "This is because you're the first customer." I was like, "I'm the first," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "The first today." I was like, "No, the first ever. We just opened." I was like, "Cool," and he kept eating, didn't even acknowledge anything. I was like, "Okay, but you're still the first." Yeah, I was way too excited, and he was just like, "What's this weirdo? What's happening?" It was so fun.
Okay, well, I want to know how you guys got started. How did you meet each other, and then how did Chao come to be?
Well, I met his
Sister-in-law.
sister-in-law, Marilyn, working at my office, right? And so we met through Marilyn, and then how we start Chao is I took my daughter to Vietnam for the first time. She really loved the bánh mì, and at the time there's no bánh mì restaurants here in the area, so I thought I'll learn how to make it. Okay, and so I tried to make bánh mì at home, looking through the YouTube recipes. And literally, that bánh mì was bad. The bread, I could throw it. It was really bad. And so I decided to, once I have Carlos as a partner, I was like, hey, you know what? Bánh mì is really good. We don't have restaurants here. We want to bring bánh mì to, the Hoosiers, right? And so I took it more seriously. I went to Hải Phòng, Vietnam.
Hải Phòng.
That's where a lot of
Bánh mì
bánh mì
capital of Vietnam.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yes. So with the master, I paid him, and he taught me how to make bánh mì, right? And so, but the way they make bánh mì is by hand, like how here we have the machine, you do all the mowing dough, right, for the dough. Here they by hand. So they divide in little pieces and they just throw it and then roll it. And the bánh mì come out really good. But I know I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I would have to wake up like 3 a.m. and,
They make thousands and thousands.
Yeah, they have all this man doing it by hand.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but so when we came back, we were like, okay, we had to figure out how to outsource this bánh mì, get it from elsewhere, but that is as close as possible to our Vietnamese bánh mì from Hải Phòng. And so
we went through so many bakers to try to find the right one, and we finally found one. And it's complicated because even when she was over there, like depending on how wet the air is or how dry their flour is, everything just changes. And over there they know, they just know that like, oh, it's a little more humid today, so we're gonna add more flour, we're gonna add less water or whatever. Over here they didn't really care, so we went through what, like 7 different bakers before we found the one that we have now. And it's like they have to proof it for longer than they would normally any other bread, because that's how you get like a nice crispy crust, and then they have to let it rise for a little bit longer, so it's a little more time consuming, but it tastes way better.
But when I have restaurants, our idea is to bring really fresh ingredients to the customer. The food that we have here is something that I would feed my family and myself. Right?
And she does.
The restaurant really, sometimes I always say that's really for me.
Yeah.
For someone who's busy and I only have 1 hour lunch time, I want to go to get really fresh, something that I order and it made for me right there. Then I can eat and then come back to work on time.
Yeah.
So that was how Chao's became. We are very focused because we want to keep the ingredients fresh. You can see that we only have few items on the menu, but each item has options for people who like chicken, beef, pork, or vegetarian is a huge part, because my mom is vegetarian.
Okay.
And she have a hard time finding a vegetarian restaurant that's besides salad. For herself. So
I didn't make any vegetarian food today.
That's okay. We are not vegetarian.
But vegetarian here is even the broth itself is very time consuming to make.
Yeah.
I was lucky to be around her and have her family and all the connections that they have, so I could learn all these things. Like the vegetarian stuff, we went to, there's a Buddhist temple on Emerson and 31st that her mom and her and then me started going to, and they were kind enough to show us how to make all of the food that they had. And it's like very strict vegetarian. It's closer to vegan than it is vegetarian.
Okay. Yeah.
So we would go and we'd help them make food for everybody that was there, for all the nuns and all the monks that would come around. And they come to eat now all the time. They come and eat here because they know that they're the ones that taught me and taught us. So now they feel comfortable coming because they want to eat out. They want to have fun, but a lot of times they don't have places that they can go to because I mean, let's be honest, a lot of times they'll throw in whatever and call it vegetarian, and sometimes it's not, sometimes it is, but they're not sure. And with us, they know that we're, you know, we're
And they have a lot of guests coming in too. The monks from Tibetan, or you know, the masters and the Buddhist nuns. They will come as visitors.
Yeah.
They want to take them out somewhere.
I have seen that you've also like had some of the monks like working in your kitchen before as
Yes.
well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she was awesome.
She
so
worked. She was helping with the temple a lot, and she was helping here. Yeah,
Cool.
here before. But yeah, the monks, they take their guests here.
She taught us how to make the chalua, the vegetarian chalua, which is like the peppered ham.
Oh, okay.
Not this one. This
Yeah,
one I
yeah.
learned from another lady from Hue, but the one that she taught us was like the vegetarian version. That was really cool.
And do you have that
It was
one on the
awesome.
menu?
I don't. It's very time consuming, and I've made it twice maybe since.
That monk you mentioned about, she's from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then that's one of her best selling. She would people from different states will order from her from a temple, and she's kind enough to teach us how to make it. But yes, it is very time consuming to make it. But if we have enough people interested in it, we'll definitely
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it. It's just we want, you know, when we make it, we want to make sure that we have enough customer to eat it, because it has to eat it fresh. We don't want to store things.
Yeah, for too long. It just goes bad and it doesn't taste as good.
Time consuming. A lot of these things take time. Can you talk about like the process of making like the pho broth? And like you talked about, you don't make the bread for the banh mi but you have sourced it out other places because it does take a lot of time. But I know that the pho broth also takes a lot of time. So can you talk about everything that kind of goes into making a pho broth?
Yeah. Well, it took us a while to get the correct way, the correct pho broth. It took me, I will say, the Vietnamese are very kind, and they're extremely like helpful, and her family especially are extremely kind people. They're like some of the nicest people you will ever meet. The ones that will like feed you if you're down on your luck. They'll come out and they'll feed you, especially her and her entire family. But they're extremely honest with your mistakes, and they're too honest where it comes to like, yeah, why are you fat? Like, why aren't you dieting more? Like, but then like her mom will tell me, like, you've gained a lot of weight. You have a big belly, and then she's like, but here, have all this food. It's like, that's why I'm gaining weight. You're giving me all this food. So her family were like the ones that were teaching me. Her mom had friends that were like coming and teaching me how to make pho better. But the Vietnamese are very honest, and for at least a year and a half, the Vietnamese community would come and like they'd see me as like, hey, did you make this? I was like, yeah, this is bad. You shouldn't be making this. Like, you should try again. But they're so supportive that like they continue to come, even though they were like telling me I sucked. They were like even her, like, you know, she's amazing and she's kind and she's very polite and she's probably the kindest person I've ever met in my life. But she would be like, yeah, I don't know why you did this. This is bad. It's pretty bad. Maybe try again tomorrow. Like, it's like, why are you? I'm so used to my Mexican family where they're like, we'll eat it. It's okay. You know, we'll love it. And like cooking for people that are like, you know, it wasn't the best, but I still enjoy it. They were just like, nah, this is bad. And it wasn't until a year and a half into the restaurant where like we're continuously like changing. I was trying to continually change it so it was extremely, you know, what I thought would be what they would approve. From what they taught me. And it was a year and a half in, and a lady was sitting right here, this old Vietnamese lady, and it was just me in the back. I had a guy washing dishes and I had one server, and she just walked to the back. She like opened the door and started looking around. And I was like, lady, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm just looking. She was like, you can't be back here. Like, she was like just looking around. I was like, lady, why are you here? Like, please go back. She was like, no, I'm looking for my friend. I was like, I assure you that none of your friends and my friends are alive. Like, there's nobody here that will be your friend. And she was like, no, I'm pretty sure my friend is here. She probably just got back from Vietnam. I was like, why would you say? I was like, well, my friend from Vietnam made this food. It tastes like the pho from my friends from Vietnam. I didn't know she was here, so she's got to be here. So she was looking for her friend, and that was like, I was like, all right, I'm not
your
changing.
friend.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not. It was like, it's just this Mexican making making your Vietnamese food, and that's what I think at that moment I was like, all right, I'm not gonna change the recipe that much. We'll stick with this one, and it was just a whole year of that.
You know, making pho at home is totally than making pho at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because at home we make this pots this big. The restaurant's huge, right? With a huge quantity. With the pho, the most important ingredients is the bone. The bone has to be fresh. We have to have a lot of bone in it to make it, good. So that's the most important ingredient. The other ingredients is different herbs. So with the people, even Vietnamese from the north, central, and the south, we have a few herbs ingredients. Some like stronger flavor of certain herbs than the others. So that's the challenge part. I think we also want to credit to our friend Quyên and Quang.
Quyên and Quang.
Yeah. So Quyên and Quang has an aunt
too.
in Seattle area. Have a really successful pho restaurants, and they opened a restaurant themselves in the South Bend area. And then they were kind enough. They came and they taught us how to make pho.
I mean, we have
efficiently.
we definitely have a long line of grandpas and grandmas that have like constantly been like teaching us. And Quyên and Quan, they were incredible. And they were like opened their arms. Again, the community is so incredible. They're in South Bend, and when we were like, I was trying to figure out how to make better pho. They were like, come over and hang out with us at our restaurant. Like, I'll teach you how to make my pho, and you can adjust it to how to make your own.
That's so sweet.
It's just incredibly close.
Yeah. So we learn from Quyên and Quang, and also tweak a little bit here and there to our flavors. And so, once, like Carlos said, we had enough customer who like it, and we said first we have to taste it ourselves. I have to taste it.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for me, then I was hoping the customer would love it as well, and we'll keep it that way, and we keep it consistently the same recipe for like.
I love it. It's probably, I don't say a lot of things are my like favorite, but like your guys' pho is my favorite, and that's like the only thing that like I will go and tell people. How long does it take to make the pho brau? And you were showing me some of the ingredients.
I showed you earlier.
The toasting of the spices.
So all those spices are like, that's what the north, because she's from the north side of Vietnam, and they're like, they really like it. They like it a little more savory. They don't like it as sweet. The southern part of Vietnam, I've noticed that they like
so we don't like sugar.
Pho.
We don't like too much sugar in our soup.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want the sweetness comes from the bones itself.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the bones we are locally sourced too.
So
it's fresh.
That took me a long time to even figure that out at first, and they were very honest. Like, this doesn't taste the way I like it. Please try it. It's like, oh no. To make. The reason why ours is the way it is, and it's a little more expensive. So at first, when we were first opening up, stores would just give us their bones, like grocery stores, they would give them away because they weren't doing anything with them. But then after a few years, they started realizing that they needed to. They were like, oh, we can sell these, so they started charging us. But our broth we make from bones from Fisher Farms, which is a farm down in Jasper, Indiana. Amazing. John, the farmer, is an incredible cool dude. It's funny, he's a twin. I'm just rambling, but he's a twin. And when I met the twin, and I shook his hand, I was like, you're not a farmer, right? Because when I shook John's hands is like big and rugged, and he's like scarred from like there's dirt that's permanently ingrained in his skin. And the brothers had this like skinny, nice, soft hand. I was like, the two of you separated somewhere. the lines stopped. But so we get our bones from them, we get our brisket, we get our eye round, we get everything that we could, like the pork, we get from there the beef shank, to make the chalua, the pork belly, all the stuff we get from them. And they have an awesome community where like they farm only beef or cows, and their neighbor has all the pork, and then they partner up with McFarland Farms there's like an Amish community close to Peru, Indiana. So our chicken comes from there, our chicken bones come from there, all of our eggs come from there. So we're very lucky in the sense that we're able to get fresh ingredients. Like I order it on Monday, they butcher it on Wednesday, and we get it by Friday.
I think it makes such a difference.
I think so too. And so we have like the way to make pho is like and I'll tell you our recipe. I mean, we boil, we first
Don't give the exact measurements, but I do want to know like the process, just so that people understand like why it tastes so good.
So you have to brown the bones first and get a nice Maillard reaction on the bones to get like a brown stock started. If you're
But
familiar
we
with
have
that.
to be really well clean.
They have to be extremely clean.
Yeah.
So most of the time we'll boil them and then we'll like clean them out and then we'll roast them so they get nice and brown. We'll roast ginger, onions. We'll roast and saute all of the spices, which is black cardamom, coriander seeds, star anise, cloves, cinnamon. On top of that, with the bones, and then 5 spice. Sometimes for the beef, we don't use mushrooms because the bones have enough of the flavor and the ginger. So then from there, you boil the bones with the ginger and the onion for a day and a half.
That's crazy.
And it reduces to like a thick
Stock.
thick stock.
It's so good.
And from there, you mix it in with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. Most of the time we don't use regular sugar. We use caramelized sugar or rock sugar.
I was gonna say, is it like the palm sugar or?
It's not palm sugar. It's rock sugar. So
Okay.
it's like big crystallized sugar, and that's it. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
It
Just
sounds
takes-
simple unless you take away the part like when you add in the amount of time it takes, because time is always an ingredient.
Roasting and cleaning the bones alone and the ginger and the onions is like a 3-hour, 4-hour process that it's not just like letting it go. It's like constantly washing them, constantly turning them over. So for 4.5 hours, we're doing that. And then another day and a half of just reducing the stock to actually get the flavor from the bones. And then actually roasting the spices, and that's what I was doing earlier when I showed you. And that smell it's intoxicating.
so good,
It's so like once in a while when I do it, I'll just like walk around the restaurants like, I want everybody to smell this before we open. And I feel like I'm a shaman.
Oh, yeah,
cleaning the air. I don't have the herbs, but I have the spices.
Spices.
Yeah.
Real quick, Chris, the cameraman coming in off camera. I might be jumping the gun here, but Amanda and I talked about sous vide ahead of time. Can you talk real quick about like sous vide like during this process, or like does it need to be stovetop to get that evaporation? And
So we don't use sous vide for the pho. We use sous vide, and we use sous vide for our pork chops to get the nice flavor. We used to use sous vide for our brisket, but now that we're making so much of it now, instead I cook it in its own fat, or we confit the brisket instead. But we used to confit it in a sous vide to get the right temperature and to get that going. But now I'm making 4 or 5 briskets, in 1 week. And because it takes so long to sous vide. So now we sous vide our pork chops. We use the sous vide for our pork belly, and we use the sous vide for the chalu as well, which are like steamed ham, steamed pork belly. And once we use the sous vide, we can actually control the temperature. And normally when you steam like a pork ham, it like swells up and it goes down, so you get a lot of weird airy spaces in the middle. When you sous vide it, you get the nice temperature control, which cooks all the way through, but you get the full meat without losing the texture and without having these airy spots. So we use sous vide quite a bit. But mostly just to contain the flavors instead of like the flavors kind of steaming out. For the pho, we just either sometimes we'll use a lid or a clat around the big pot that we have, just so it doesn't evaporate as quickly. But yeah, we use quite a bit of sous vide for that kind of thing.
Which I feel like is unique for a lot of restaurants.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
you do that, but I haven't tried the pork chops, so
Well,
I'm gonna have to.
Vietnamese food is cool because it's like a combination of French with like Asian flavors. Because the French, conquered Vietnam for 50, 60,
Yeah,
100
they
years.
colonized Vietnam.
They colonized Vietnam for quite a while. So
So-
even pho. So the story that I heard from some of her friends that were like really into culinary food, Vietnamese food, is that pho became famous, and even banh mi became famous because the French were there and they were taking all the cows, they were taking all the good meat, and they would leave the bones, they would leave like the inside round, they would leave things that they didn't think that was good for them. They were taking the sirloins and they were taking like the big pieces of meat, and they were just leaving the bones. And the Vietnamese, as resourceful as they're incredibly resourceful. They're like, well, we'll put it in a pot. So essentially, pho is like a consommé, like a French consommé with the Vietnamese flavors, and it's just way better than any French food you can get. I mean, I think it's amazing. think
Yeah,
it's
I always
incredible.
tell people like, Vietnamese food is like a French, American, Asian
Yeah.
food. Yeah.
In which to me, because I did a lot of French cooking, it just made sense. And the flavors were like, oh, this is Mexican food with like a Asian twist, But it's
Yeah.
because the French also conquered, or they were tried to conquer Mexico, and they were there for quite a bit. So a lot of the cooking techniques are just went really well, which is different because Chinese food isn't like that. Like Thai food isn't like that. It's just Vietnamese. It's so unique when it comes to those flavors and the techniques.
Definitely.
We
And when
have-
you're, go ahead.
I say we just had the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say the best of both worlds. Amanda's been hyping this up to me, which is the Mexican pho, which to me looks like consommé from Berea.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you explain? Like,
So that's it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
call it. So when I was little, my mom had a little stand and she made birria. She would make birria from goats. Sometimes she would have beef. But my first job, I was 3 years old, was to chop the cilantro. I don't know why she trusted me with a cleaver, but that was my job, just like chopping. There's a bunch of pictures that I have of me just like smiling. Like I was like 3 years old. You don't trust a kid with a cleaver. But that's what she would make. She would make birria, which is 5 different chilies. You make a kind of like a stock out of it, and you make a consommé with the meat and the bones. I try to replicate that as close to as I can remember from when I was a kid and talking to my mom, and I married that with the pho broth and the pho stock, which is essentially the bones and the onions and the gingers, all those same flavors, and I combine them, and it's awesome. So I still use 5 chilies. So it's spice, but it's not like spicy, but it's hot, it's pretty hot, but it's not super spicy. I really like it, but it's that cool marriage between, like the classic pho flavors and the strong Mexican spices and it just worked out super well. The first time that I had it, I was like, ooh, and it took me a while to put it in because we would eat it ourselves, like in the kitchen. All of us would just eat it, and then we'd have none. And we're like, all right,
I think initially they were just made it for themselves
Yeah.
in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Mexico are
Mexico City. I grew up in
cool.
Mexico City. Came when I was 13.
Okay.
He's also created the tacos. Have you tried the?
I haven't tried the
Tacos.
tacos. So because when I
Oh.
come here, I'm like, I want my like regular, but I need to expand. Maybe today's the day that I need to try
Chao
all the things.
tacos though.
Okay.
It's different.
All right.
okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
nice stuff.
Before we
what
go,
tacos?
the Chow tacos.
Oh, okay.
They've got them all up there. They've got like a little slideshow
Yeah, I
of
gotta
all
watch
of them.
gotta watch the reel.
Yeah.
Before we started recording, Carlos kept trying to tell me stories, and we were like, "No, don't tell us the stories." But he said that you have lived many different lives, so I would love to hear all the lives that you've lived and how-
What have you lived in different lives? What do you mean by that?
I mean, how you and your family left or escaped Vietnam, and how you were picked up. How did the bubble waffles come about? I was trying to tell them all these things, and
Yeah,
they're
we
like,
kept
"No,
telling
don't talk."
When I was 9, our family decided to flee Vietnam. And so my mom is Chinese, but born in Vietnam. My dad's Vietnamese. And so we both were picked up and then we became a refugee in Hong Kong.
She's
So-
downplaying this. They were at sea for like 30 days in a tiny little boat.
No,
there was
20
like
days. You're like,
20 days in a tiny little boat. Her mom told me that there was like 40 people in a tiny little boat. They were like stranded in the middle of the sea when they escaped Vietnam. in a Hong Kong ship?
So
picked
it
them up?
was one of the fishing boat of, I'm from Halong Bay area. So we have a lot of those fishing boats. And yeah, we fled with a small wooden fishing boats. Yeah, there are so many people that we couldn't even lay down. We all have to sit straight. And so during the sea, we ran into thunderstorms, almost flipped our boats over. We ran into pirates that were shooting at a boat, try to scare us away, or I don't, at the time we thought we were gonna die. And then also, usually it takes probably a maximum about a week for the fishermen to reach to Hong Kong. But because the motor breaks down, so then they have to go inland with rolling it. And we finally, in 20 days later, we made it to Hong Kong. But I remember when we reached to Hong Kong, I was so exhausted, so tired because in the sun, all these days, and our skin literally peeling from burn. And I just remember my eyes were closed and I saw this huge metal. Remember like Independence Day, the movie? Like how this huge ship was there. That's what, it reminds me of when I watch the movie, because it's a huge piece of metal in front of our boat. We can't even see the horizon anymore. That's all I saw. Turns out to be one of those Navy ships.
A Hong Kong Navy ship.
Yeah, that picked us up and moved us inland. And so we lived there for over 2.5 years. And,
Hong Kong?
But luckily, we were one of the last boats to reach Hong Kong, because I think a couple of weeks later, they decided to close. They no longer accept any refugees. And so because the last part, at the end, maybe a year later, they will give us like a little housing to stay, and they find jobs for my parents, and we were able to wander out into the city, and so with that, I get to eat a lot of Chinese food, Hong Kong food at the time. It was really, really good. And the waffle today that we have, that's one of my favorite snacks in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And so, but with the Hong Kong waffle, the bubble waffle, is usually vanilla flavor. So what we did was we changed it into a Vietnamese flavor bubble waffle. So bubble waffle, how it's made, and the shape is Hong Kong snacks.
Bring it out. I made it.
But
Bring it out.
but the flavor is usually in the Vietnamese dessert ingredients. They use a lot of the pandan leaves and then coconut.
My favorite.
Yeah, it's green in color, so because of the pandan leaves. Yeah, but yeah. So
There's no ice cream on that. Normally we serve it with ice cream, but
so this.
I don't want it to melt.
Yeah.
And have you tried the ice cream?
When we come, because I come with Finley and I want him to, my son, I want him to eat the pho. So we get the pho, and then I don't want him to have like too much. So then I just get that with like whipped cream on it. So he's never had it with ice cream. Don't tell him that there's ice cream.
I'll tell the server to make it with ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
What Carlos probably didn't tell you is that all our ice cream is mainly fresh from here.
I didn't know that.
Carlos made it.
You make the ice cream here.
Yeah, I make all the ice cream
from scratch.
I've never had the ice cream.
The ice
oh my
creams
gosh,
are good.
I'm learning all these things that I need to have.
Yeah.
This may be an ignorant question, but why did your family feel the need to flee Vietnam? I don't know what time was it?
This in 1987. Well, my mom, she's Chinese, and when the Viet Cong took over, my mom was a teacher, an elementary school teacher, and when the Chinese came and forcing a lot of, when the Viet Cong started the communists. It's a little sensitive topic, but let's just say that when the Viet Cong took over, it forcing a lot of Chinese to leave the country.
Okay.
So my grandma left before I was born. My mom was pregnant with me at the time, and so she had to hide and stay behind. And she loved her teaching job, but she was forced to stop. So a lot of it's a lot of pressure, and also my grandma made it to the U.S. She left Vietnam, made to Hong Kong, and to the U.S. as well. My grandma tries to sponsor our family, but it's very difficult. And my parents just think it's just a better opportunity for us, you know. And so they decide to take a risk and fled the country. Yeah, and just looking for opportunities. That's what my parents for their children. And so that's why and then when we made it to Hong Kong, stayed in Hong Kong for 2.5 years, and Grandma sponsored us from there, and so we made it to U.S. Yeah, our boat was picked by the Australian. Oh. Australia, you know, like each country, they let's say take turns to take certain boat's number, and basically I don't know. You remember the boat people during. Okay. No. During the 80s, there's Wednesday. There's a lot of the boat people, so that's what they're referring to, and so countries will help out the Canadian, the Australians, and they would, and the U.S. would pick certain boat numbers, and they will bring the refugees to their countries, and
Okay.
And so,
cool.
I felt so blessed to be here.
What are these? You said you've had this, but not
I've
here.
never had it here. Mm-hmm.
What is it?
This bún thịt nướng. We sometimes call it a noodle salad.
Yeah.
Because really it's a Vietnamese noodle made with rice noodle, and then we have so many like herbs and vegetables, and lettuce in there, but top it with grilled pork.
Lemongrass pork.
Yeah.
Lemongrass. I love lemongrass.
But it's the northern flavor,
Okay.
lemongrass. So when you eat the same dishes elsewhere, it's gonna taste a little different because there's one key ingredient in there.
Yeah.
That's the northern that use. But it's a family recipe from the Ha Long Bay area. Mm-hmm.
I want to know. We talked about. You told me how great my gums are, and you didn't just say that because
No,
you are a dentist.
I'm very, very tough dentist.
Yeah, but I don't think that we set that on record that you are my dentist and that you also have a dental practice. So I thought that I fell in love with Chao, and I also was seeing you, and I had no idea that it overlapped. And then whenever I discovered that, I was like, my dentist also makes my favorite pho. So how are you doing both?
I usually
I said she had many lives. Next, she's gonna ask about your nails. She did nails.
Yes.
She worked in restaurants. She's many lives.
I know it seems like you are very humble.
I used to tell people that I'm a dentist who loves to eat. And Chao is really made for me. But thankfully, I have a partner who has a background in business and then also restaurants. And so that's why I think this is a perfect match for us to be partnered in a restaurant. But yes, I just love to eat. And at the time, we don't have the Vietnamese restaurant here that's have my favorite dishes.
When you opened Chao, were you also a dentist? Did you?
Yes, I was a dentist for public health.
Okay.
I'm a public health dentist, and so like I mentioned to you, my daughter who loves the banh mi, and then I just find that there's a need to have a restaurant here. But at the same time too, it's encouraging from family and friends who are always like, you should have a restaurant. You should have a restaurant. And growing up, when I first made it to U.S., I actually worked for my uncle who owned a Chinese restaurant.
She was 11 or 12 when she was working at this Chinese restaurant.
11.
I'm saying she's extremely humble. When
I was 11. I was help out my uncle's restaurant after school and on Saturdays, and And so growing up in the restaurants, I told myself that I'm gonna study really hard and never to open a restaurant in my entire life. Because I don't get to see my family. I don't
That's what
get
we
to
were just talking about.
I don't get to see my parents. They will be the when we leave for school, they're still sleeping, and when we came home from when we go to bed, they still not yet come home from work. And so growing up, I said, I'm going to find a career that will be 8 to 5, so that way I can be home with family. And I think the universe, with a friend, my friend who encouraged me to go dentistry, my first thought, reply to my friend was, I don't want to smell people's breath.
Okay.
But I think I always like to grow up. I want to be a teacher like my mom, or be a nurse, or I love in the medical field. I shadow doctors and pharmacists and nurse. My friend encouraged me to volunteer in the hospital. So I volunteer in the oral surgery department at the old Worcester Hospital. And when I while volunteering, working as an assistant, I realized that this is something that I enjoy doing very much. It's like a feeling to me. It's like doing nails, like you put a little product on it. And yes, and also I love to be with the patient. And care for the patient. It really is an art for me.
Well, I think you're a great doctor.
Oh, thank you.
I love you as my dentist.
You're so kind.
I tell everyone, I'm like, you should go to my dentist.
Same.
Yeah.
I do need a dentist.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Same.
Yep.
Dentistry is an art, and I love that. And I think he's kept mentioning a couple of times that I used to do nails.
I know, he told me, and I was like, I haven't been like showing you my nails. You might appreciate this. I have a little Morel, and then I have a little Rayo.
Oh yeah,
That's really
that's
cute.
awesome.
Yeah.
And whenever I go get my nails done, she always tells me I have great cuticles. So it's kind of like, I have great gums, I have great cuticles. Let me just brag.
Killing it.
And you on top
Just
of it.
killing
Yes, you're took great care of
I'll
your
tell you
health.
my nail person too.
My aesthetics are not up to your
But yes, in high school, starting in high school, I think at that time the nails was in the city. I'm from St. Louis. There's only a few nail salons. I was fortunate enough for my mom's friend who introduced me to the nails. And at first, I didn't like it. I had to practice just polishing for weeks.
Ooh,
And I'm like, ooh, this, But later on, when I perfected the polishing part, then they taught me how to do nails, and so I did nails in high school and undergrads. That's how they pay for my undergrad.
Oh,
And yeah,
thank you, nails.
That's where
And-
your
and
attention to
took care-
detail comes from, huh?
absolutely. And then I had to be thankful for the nail industry that I was able to afford to take care of my family. My siblings was with me at the time too, so I was able to go to school and raise my siblings.
She's being so humble. She paid and supported her siblings the entire, she was here alone and she brought them all over here, her mom, and she's being extremely humble when she says this, but she was taking care of her family. She was working, she was going to school. She did incredible.
Well,
A
to
superhero.
me, to me at the time, that's what we do is family. We take care of family. We do, what we could.
That's,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
what
like you
families
were
are.
like under an extreme amount of pressure, but then you're just like, this is the way that it is. This is like
Yeah.
life, and
To me, at
it
that
looks like
time,
your-
it's
it
normal.
It sounds like your outlook on life is like, has it always just been positive? Because I feel like you are like a positive person. Like, I know that's like, I go and see you as like in a restaurant and setting, and also in a dentist office where you have to be like professional and positive, but it also seems like you are like that.
I think with the experience that I have, I think I was fortunate enough to learn both cultures, right? The Vietnamese culture. I'm here in the U.S. at 11, so I felt like I was able to use the best things from the both cultures, and what's good from one culture I will keep, what's not good or not. So being positive, I think it takes time. From I think where I'm from to where I'm now, I feel so blessed. So I think when you feel you're fortunate, you feel you're blessed, everything is happy. You know, everything is positive.
Yeah.
And so, there's challenges. When you overcome each challenge you overcome, you become more confident. And when you become more confident, you become more positive as well.
Yeah.
So it's like now it's like, I almost
Got this. It's
I
fine.
got this.
No problem.
You know, my favorite words to talk about, like, everything will be just fine.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna
just
be
fine
okay.
at the
Yeah, it's
end.
fine.
Yeah.
Got
That's fine.
Yeah. So it's just like when I first came here by myself to Indiana to go to school, and you know, at the beginning is a challenge, you know, but over time I found a job and you know school and then family come over, just fine. Everything will be fine.
Before, I want to ask you like how you got into the restaurant industry, but before I get to that, I want to ask you, I feel the yogurt, I want to talk about the yogurt, and I feel like you've told me I love the yogurt that you have, and I feel like that's not commonly found on pho menus, but you told me that you put it on there because you wanted it. So a lot of this sounds like you wanted it, that's why it's here.
Yes. All these dishes on here is really made for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little selfish.
I mean,
it's
that's-
really
no, you're
it's
allowed
really
to be.
for me.
But I'm glad that you shared.
The classics are for her. The messing around
Yeah,
with things is
yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But they're all good, and you know, you can see all the magazines that comes here that recognizes you know his creation as well. The yogurt,
It's delicious.
I think it's a trip to, if you ever go to Halong Bay, one of the streets food that later in the afternoon the family will come out and hang out is to have yogurt.
Okay.
In their yogurt, they also put like coconut sheddings and a little tapioca and things for different texture. Vietnamese love textures. So
Countering
yeah.
textures is what they really
so
get.
no,
Soft
in
with hard.
in every dishes there are different textures in it. So yogurt there to have different textures. Unfortunately, you know, if we don't have enough customer that it wants that.
This will get it out there.
I would make it different textures too. But in the meantime, we just make the yogurt. The yogurt, it's my favorite.
I have some right there, right now. I made
saw
it
it.
You
a
can
few days
get
ago.
it. You know what? You can freeze it.
Oh.
You can freeze it, and you eat it like an ice cream.
Scrapes it. That's what she
Okay.
does. The other thing she
Right.
really likes to do is, which is
Yeah.
weird to me, she puts ice, she mixes it up, and then she makes me squeeze a bunch of lime with it,
Ooh,
and she'll
yum.
just
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
Oh,
down.
wait, like what's called? Is it lemon pie? Right.
That's what it tastes like. Key
Yes,
lime.
key lime pie. Okay, so the yogurt. Okay, just take it home. Squeeze like a half of a lime in it.
Okay.
Add ice.
Okay.
And eat it just like
Okay.
that. It's like it tastes like key lime pie.
Well, it's like I mean, I'm imagining like in Vietnam it's like so hot, so
Yes.
that's why people are
That's
like,
why-
let's put some ice in it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how long like it freeze, and then with like a creamy tapioca, peanuts and coconut sheddings on top of it. So the heat with the cold coconuts, you kind of melt, and as you eat it, it'll melt.
Yum, yum, yum,
Yeah,
yum.
it's really good.
Sorry, Chris, the cameraman, coming in here one more time. I love that the menu is what you want. That's so perfect. Have you had to tweak the recipes to kind of fit the American palate? Or is it like straight from home? Like, is it truly you, or did you modify things to
Well,
accommodate?
Cooking Vietnamese food is like chemistry. Okay, before what I tweak is really the mayonnaise sauce, right? We'll just try. Oh my God, poor Carlos and my family. They have to eat so much meat grilled meat at the beginning.
Oh, poor Carla.
Yes.
Oh no, I get to eat delicious
But really,
food.
we try to stay as authentic as possible. If we tweak it just a little bit, maybe tiny more sweet or a little bit more savory on certain, but all the ingredients in it are very authentic.
Well, before we started recording, I'd asked you how many people order this, if you want to explain this bowl, and you said you saw a lot of white people ordering
We're
this.
getting
So
a
can
lot.
you say what this
Yeah.
is?
So at first we were getting a lot of people that were like, oh no, I don't like the the texture of it. I don't like the way this feels, because the Vietnamese really like that. Like fighting textures, they want something soft with something crunchy. They want something hot with something cold. They want something, like savory with something sweet. They're always kind of fighting textures. Pho is really good where it's like everything is very soft, but then you put tripe, which is extremely chewy, and they'll sit there and they just chew on it for a while, and they really, really like that. Our beef balls have tendon in it, which is extremely chewy as well, but then the brisket, it like melts, it's like super soft, so they really like that fighting texture. So at the beginning, we were kind of trying to adapt to, to try to get more business, of course, because otherwise, there was a lot of times that we were like, oh man, where's everybody? While they're just specifically avoiding us. But after a while, we realized like we can have the classics, the very classics with the classic flavors, and then we'll just add some other things that might be more into the palate of people that kind of want to try things out, and maybe they're not as adventurous to try tendon, but there might be adventurous enough to try some fries with some meat and maybe some pickles on top of it. Maybe they've heard of birria, but they've never heard of bún. So they're willing to try something like this, which is almost like the gateway drug into more intense Vietnamese flavors. Which, don't get me wrong, Vietnamese they're not intense flavors. They're like, but once you start getting to know them, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I can't believe I was missing out on this. So. We try to keep things classic and traditional when they're classic and traditional, but then after that, we'll mess around.
So I think a perfect example would be fries, right? You won't find this in Vietnam for sure.
That one you're gonna have to eat it as it goes.
Okay.
So
When you're sharing your story, I will eat it.
yeah, so that's taro ice cream that I make. It's kind of like sweet potatoes, like cool cousin from Asia. That's taro.
How I would describe
it. To me, it kind of tastes like the milk after you have cereal, like really sweet cereal. That's kind of what it tastes like. And then the bubble waffle. The reason it's green is because of pandan. Pandan is like, they call it the vanilla of Asia, and those are the flavors that she was talking about earlier. Is that in Hong Kong, usually the Hong Kong waffles are like vanilla flavored. And when we made it Vietnamese, we made it with pandan and coconut, which is very reminiscent of the bánh bò nướng, the Vietnamese like honeycomb dessert, and that's what we would try to make there. Please go ahead and eat it, because otherwise it's gonna melt, and if it doesn't melt,
We're spinning it for the camera.
oh, okay.
No, you have to take a piece of that.
The waffle.
No, you have to eat with the waffle.
Yeah.
Break Amanda.
Make me one here.
Yeah.
Don't mind.
All right, put that on top.
Yeah.
Here, I'll make you one.
Oh my god.
Here, Chris, this is for you.
Okay.
Dude, that ice cream is bomb.
Yeah, Carlos made it from scratch.
That's impressive.
One of my
I
favorites
had to buy
too.
a giant ice cream
I was
machine.
gonna say, ice cream is
barely
also-
fits. I have a tiny kitchen.
Yeah.
It barely fits back there.
Ice cream is also like a very like scientific, because you don't want like all the like ice crystals and the amount of fat. that you
My
have to-
recipe took a few months of poor her trying a ton of different ice creams.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, do you like the Vietnamese iced coffee?
I
Okay.
got it.
I
She makes
also,
almost
I also
done.
make
There's
Vietnamese
a
iced
Vietnamese
coffee.
iced coffee
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
That's my
I make that
favorite.
too.
So good.
Recently, I made a
Go crazy.
You have to try the mango.
mango
Ice cream flavor.
I have coconut.
So-
I make Thai iced tea ice cream. Did I have you try the peanut butter and passion fruit jam ice cream that I just made? Yeah.
Okay,
So-
okay.
I have it. Yeah, I made it because I had some passion fruits and I made a jam out of them. And then I was like, how can I make it more Vietnamese? It's like peanut butter and passion fruit jam. Instead of peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and passion fruit jam.
And also talk about passion fruit, that yogurt. You get a fresh passion fruit, put on top of it. Really good. That's how I eat mine.
It's good stuff. That yogurt. At the beginning when we were making the yogurt, I was making maybe like 10, and I think 8 would go to her and her family, and 2 would hang out there because people they're like, oh, yogurt, and like nobody would really eat them. But now I'm making like 50, 60. Well, now I'm making like 50, 60 at a time, and like I made them on Monday, and we have maybe like 5 or 6 left.
But poor Carlos, just once in a while, I will come up with something like, hey, here's the yogurt recipe.
Figure it out.
Make this. Okay, here's the recipe. Make this.
Large quantities.
And then, like when he make it, I'm like, no, this is not right. Yeah, can you help figure it out? Change a little bit
do this. Yeah, that's funny.
And so, I think I would love there's the yogurt somehow made it to my Kroger's,
Yeah.
We don't see the Vietnamese yogurt in the grocery store here. So,
good stuff.
but in the meantime, when I get to the
We got to tell
stage,
people first.
we just don't know the process to how to do that.
Oh,
if you
well,
know
do
how
the
process,
I'll
how
research it
Like
for you.
upscale it.
I want you
Yeah.
to put this in.
Yes,
stores.
this sauce. Oh my God, Carlos did an amazing.
Yeah, this is so
Yeah.
good.
Like
We
it?
buy a bottle every time
Yeah.
we
That
run
took
out. We
me.
go.
That took me so long to just like getting the perfect lacto-fermentation process going.
Well, first, can you say like
me
what this is that I'm
so
holding, and then tell me the process of it
So-
and why it's so delicious.
So this is our own version of like sriracha. We call it characha. It's a lacto-fermented hot sauce that we use with Fresno pepper. So it's simple, right? It's like garlic, peppers, a tiny bit of sugar, and then a ton of thyme. It takes me 2.5 weeks. Not time, but actual time. Yeah. It's funny. Some people ask me, it's like, I don't taste any thyme. I was like, no, it's time, actual time. Because it takes anywhere from a week to 2.5 weeks to get the lacto-fermentation process going. And what happens is like the small bacteria eat at the peppers, making them super soft. But at the same time, it gives them like this super cool funk that tastes almost like vinegar, but it's not. It's just straight up the lacto-fermentation process, which is kind of what sriracha did originally at first. But then they stopped doing that because it's very time consuming. You can't make 1 million bottles of this and sell them in the time that you need 1 million bottles, But yeah, we started making the around the pandemic because it started to get more and more expensive, and I was like, I can make it better, and I can just use it for us. It's just us. So now, 5 years later, and I got a fermentation station in the back where it's just like I'm constantly fermenting. We just ground them up yesterday. I just made it. We just missed out.
How much of your like food journey? It seems like you nerd out a lot. Like how much of your food journey is like you just being like, I want to try that.
Yeah.
It seems like that's where
a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it. I have a good resource for like Vietnamese. Her and her family and her grandma, rest in peace, were incredible like resources when it came to like Vietnamese food in general. But everything else is just like experience, other restaurants that I've worked at. I have some amazing friends that are also chefs that like we like work off of each other, and a lot of times if there's something that I'm missing, I'll like hang out with some of my Indonesian friends. I'm like, I'm having trouble like getting these noodles correctly. It's like, well, in Indonesia we do this. It's like, oh, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's awesome. Yeah. We have a lot of really cool friends, a lot of really good like supporting friends, the community, and even the restaurant community. And you probably know this. They're like, once you get to you meet the right people, they're just incredible, and they're super kind, and they're very supportive, and it's humbling, really, because the ones that are not supportive are like the ones that are like, yeah, something wrong is going to happen with them, like something's going to happen, and sure enough, the people that are not like kind and humble and supportive, something bad happens. So we're lucky.
How did you get into the food industry?
Well, with my mom, I guess, when I was 3 years old, chopping cilantro. In college, I went to business school in Wisconsin. So in the University of Wisconsin, I was, throughout my whole college career and high school, I was working in restaurants. I was cooking, I was serving, I was managing. And then after I graduated and moved over here, I didn't cook right away, and I was like working with my brother. We started a business, and I missed it. I kind of missed being in it because it's like one of my past life was a musician, and you get into, when you're playing with the right band, you get into this weird orchestra that like just sounds good, and like the director just manages the sounds, and right away you can tell if something is off or somebody's out of tune. Same in the restaurant, you get this weird high that you're like, ooh, everything is running smoothly, all the noises make sense. Once in a while you hear something, you're like, ooh, that's off. So I missed it. And started cooking with some friends again. And then I met her, and we were cooking for, when she said earlier that her friends would tell her that she should open a restaurant, is because, again, she's being humble, but she would host these, like, she would invite all her friends to come over and eat elaborate dishes that she would make. And like her and I were like just making food for her grandma and her grandma's friends and her mom. So yeah, after that, it was just like, we needed to, and I cook French and Mexican and seafood and American. So
did he tell you he's a wonderful musician?
He started it, and then we were like, "Don't celebrate, wait till."
He's a
What did you play?
jazz percussionist.
I was a jazz drummer for most of my life. I made a living out of I was just playing around. But yeah, I did that for quite a bit. I got hired to play with the. That's the last time that I played a concert was when I got hired to play for the Paris by Night guy, the singer.
The Vietnamese community, they were doing a
ago.
fundraiser.
Yeah.
I volunteered him.
Yeah, to play. So I played an entire concert in Vietnamese. That was pretty cool. That was pretty fun. Yeah. I understood nothing of what, like, but the music is international, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. I just had the music in front of me, and I could.
So
I
yeah,
could
for
go
the whole
there.
community that comes, and then I was like, oh, I think Carlos can do it. And they're missing a drummer, and they're like stressing out about it. I'm like, Carlos can do it. And I told him, he's like, you what?
Yeah. Practice twice with the band, and then we're ready for the concert.
That's jazz.
He's busy at the restaurant.
Yeah.
At the time, we opened till really late at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so by the time he's done, it's like 11 p.m. And so it's not like now, right? You can go home a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an amazing musician.
You want to go? Would you have any other questions? Or
No, I was going to say, I think we're getting towards the end now. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about that's on forefront of your mind?
Can we talk about the lunch special? Because I feel like
you love the lunch special.
Well, everybody loves the lunch special
Yeah.
because it's such a great deal. But I feel, is there anything else that we missed that you feel like we should talk about? And then I
The chow fries. Do you remember how we came up with this?
Yeah, chow
Yeah,
fries.
tell me about the chow fries.
So in order to introduce our American friends to try our other food, this is like a huge example. Chow fries and tacos are the two examples that how we can introduce our friends, American friends, to enjoy the rest of the dishes. So you can go ahead and tell them.
So the first time that we made this was before we were opening, and I had just finished setting up the fryer. Like, I plugged in the fryer, I plugged in the grill. She was marinating some meat, and we had just finished pickling daikon and carrots. I had chopped them up. She was pickling them. And the representative for Cisco like opened the door in the back and just came in with fries, and he came in with like a bunch of things for us to try. And he's like, "You guys want to try this?" We're like, "I guess he's like, all right, let's stir it up." So we had fries, and we like made the fries, and we had all these other things that we literally had just finished making for, that we were trying out. And I was like, this is a great combination. This works out really well.
He give us different types of fries, and I'm like, no, too basic. No, let's get the most expensive one.
Yeah.
But it's not because it's expensive. I like how it tastes. It's crispy on the outside, but you still can taste the potato.
Yeah.
And
then
they're called sidewinders. I don't know if you can tell.
They're
like
an interesting
cut.
shape.
Yes. And so, and I was like, we're not going to serve just basic fries. We're going to be, And so the ingredients that we have at the time, we just throw everything in it, and maybe the chow fries.
It was way better than anything I could come up with. She just came up with it on the spot. It was awesome.
Yeah. With the sauce and everything else, I think it worked together really well. But I think you have to try Carlos Vietnamese tacos.
Okay.
The tacos are
Before I
good.
leave today,
Yeah.
Yes.
I will try the tacos
So
and the pork chop. I want to
Well,
try it.
the lunch special was something that I was thinking like, a lot of times in Vietnam, they'll give you like a little broth to like sometimes like dip your sandwich in.
Like a
I was
French
like,
dip.
yeah, kind of.
That
I've seen
same
that.
sort of-
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. And I was like, we could do like a smaller pho, and you can have like a soup and a sandwich kind of thing. But it was kind of hard at first because like, how do you do those two things and then also keep the price at like a lunch price kind of thing? Especially because you're getting a lot of food for, and it's a lot of work for us.
It's kind of made for me too.
Because that's what she was constantly asking for.
Yeah, because I don't want to eat a huge bowl. It's just one thing. I like eat multiple different things, but a little bit of it because
I'm so impressed with like you give a full banh mi and then a small pho. It is so much food. And how much is this?
Yeah, I have it at 13 or 14 right now. Yeah, and I just went up in price. Maybe 12 actually.
I was gonna say I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that it says $11.95.
Okay, 12. I
Which
gotta
feel
I
like
gotta
is
raise my
in
price, but
this
it is
economy.
12. Yeah.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
year 2026, you can't
Yeah.
find $14 lunch anywhere, so that's
Yeah.
that's a steal.
yeah.
Yeah,
But-
with homemade like this is made
And
in house.
I make the pâté for the banh mi. I make the mayo. I make
Everything
my
You
in
make
there.
your own mayo.
I make my
Yes.
own Dijon mustard, so I can make my own mayo. So
I'm
we
so
can
glad we're
put
doing
it
this.
in.
I want more people
Yeah.
to know that you're doing all of this work.
Yes, I think a lot of people doesn't know what's behind there. How
It's a
many
lot.
things from
It's quite a
scratch
bit.
that we made into making the ingredients
And that's why it's
inside.
so delicious.
Yeah, so that's why it's different, right?
Like the egg rolls, that took me so long to master. And her mom sometimes will still come because her mom is the one that taught me how to make egg rolls, and her grandma is the one that like taught us how to make that. And then, like once in a while, she'll come and she's like, "Carlos, you didn't wrap it correct. Were you being lazy or what?" It's like I was making 400 egg rolls, Mom. Can you
Yeah.
like just give me a little bit of a break?
At the beginning, Mom and Grandma's was here a lot, and this sauce right here, that's Grandma's ingredients.
She's the one
I
that
mean,
taught me.
Grandma's recipe.
You know what's funny about that? The fish sauce?
Yeah.
When she was teaching me how to make it, she was like, all right, yeah. And she like told me how to make it with a bowl. She didn't have measuring cups. She had a bowl and that's how she was made, like a random bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And then one day I was like, Grandma, can you teach me with measuring cups? She's like, no, I got the best thing. And she pulled out the bowl. She's like, here,
carries it around.
use this. You manage
Do you have
it.
the back there?
No, she asked for it
It's
back.
a smaller bowl.
She uses it
So
for
Yeah.
everything.
grandma's cooking. My mom too. They don't measure.
Yeah.
They
you
measure
know?
with their heart.
So yeah, basically they just like, oh, a little bit this, a little bit that, and, you know. And so
And it's
that's
1,000 times better than what I could come up with. you know?
that's a challenge at the beginning is how I can, replicate that recipe, but in a large quantity, so I have to write recipe down, so Carlos, can help.
Yeah, the grandma one was hilarious because I was like, I can't get it correctly, Grandma, and she was like, here's the bowl. It's like, here, take this. I'll teach you with the bowl. I was like, all
I need
right.
to see a picture of this
Grandma
bowl.
have a version of hot sauce, but it's more like a chili
pepper,
peppers. Grandma passed away 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
Almost 3 years ago now, and I still have the one that she taught me how to make, and
She's the
that's
best.
maybe one of these days.
We'll
When I have
replicate
more
it,
time,
yeah.
when I have more time, I will bring that as well. And even though it's over 3 years ago, it still stay red, the color.
She fermented it so well that it still
Yeah.
has the flavors, and it keeps getting better, which
Yes,
is wild.
it's better over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing as the characha. It stayed this color for a very long time.
I love it
And all the ingredients in there is natural ingredients.
It's funny, even the pâté, when I was like, when we were first making the pâté, and like I would give it to Grandma to taste, she was like, it's good. It's not that good. It's like, why? You know how long it took me to make this? It's like, this is pretty good, but it's not that good. And then she would proceed to be like, all right, how about change this? Put more, put some bread in there, maybe soak the liver in milk for a little bit longer. She would tell me how to, make it better. But yeah, it's just like, it's good.
I wish you get
Not
to
that
meet
good.
my grandma.
She's
She's
awesome.
always very smiley. She's
Was she in the office, the dental office?
sometimes
Yeah.
you meet her?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
I
she
did meet
opened this restaurant. She opened my dental office too.
Yeah.
So she's the first customer Actually, the first customer.
she
we had
was
to
the
make.
She
first
was
one,
the-
yeah.
First customer
Before
for
opening
Chao and
hours.
first patient. Yeah. So she's always open.
She did the
both.
blessing at the office too, right?
Yeah, the blessing.
She
I
was
think, yeah, and I also saw that, I think, on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any other question you want to ask?
No.
Great. I think we're like getting ready to like wrap up. So is there
Eat.
anything
You
else?
better eat.
Well, I want to ask. I have one last question.
Yeah.
That I want to ask you guys. So Chao's been around. First, I want to say thank you. Of
course, thank
thanks
you.
for
Thank
taking the time
you.
to sit
Thank
down.
you.
I know. I feel like sometimes like we're nobodies, but like you guys are so kind.
You're
and hospitable.
somebody. You're
No.
somebody to us.
No, you.
I know, but like to sit down, take your time. I know you guys are both really super busy, and like to do all of this for us. You're just really kind, and I love it. And you guys are.
We
my
love
favorite
you.
food.
No, before they leave, this is to take home.
No,
we're
they're gonna
sit
eat
here
it.
and eat this.
Yeah, they're gonna eat it.
No, you're gonna make a new.
We're
batch
also
for
gonna
them.
eat this. We're not gonna waste this.
You're gonna take this home. We have to eat
No,
it
no, no,
fresh.
no, no, no. I mean, I work in
'Cause it-
kitchens. I eat over trash cans.
No, it's not fresh anymore.
Every
It's not
single
hot
meal.
Give me a
anymore.
milk crate to sit on, and I will be happy.
It's not hot anymore. You have to eat it fresh.
But I just want to say thank you for doing this, and I love
gorgeous.
Chao, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you. And not only I appreciate you in the Indianapolis food scene. I know we're in Fishers, but just the greater Indianapolis area for taking the time to make these ingredients, because it would be so much easier just to get from Cisco, and some people would not notice the difference, but I noticed the difference, and I can tell, and that's why I wanted so much to talk to you guys. And thanks for using local farms. I feel
Thank
like
you.
that's not like a normal thing whenever I go to pho places to like see. So I appreciate that, and for putting things on the menu that you like, because I like it too.
Yeah, that's my thing is if I can feed my family and friends, then
Yes.
that's something it would be on the
And
menu.
thanks for being my dentist.
Well,
I said thanks for being
thank
my
you for a
dentist.
wonderful patience.
Thanks
of
for maybe
mine.
being
yeah.
my future dentist.
Yeah, come see us. You know,
Chris,
all
huh?
the, yeah, you know,
for
all
three.
the staff in there too. It's really a teamwork. You know, I cannot do this without Carlos and the
Oh, and I
chef.
could not
Yes.
do it with my
Or-
amazing staff. All
yeah.
the people that we have too have been with us for
Beginning.
almost the
Yeah.
beginning.
That's a testament to you.
Like my
Yes.
sous chef has been with me for 8 years. My line cook has been with me for 7. My other line cook for like 5. My server's been with me for like 5 or 6 years. My other
That's you
server's
guys.
been with me for like 2 or 3.
The food
The
is good,
newest
and also
person
you
is
guys.
like high schoolers that are starting out. They've been
Oh,
with me
yeah,
for
yeah.
a year and a half already. You know?
Yeah.
Isn't it so fun to like be somebody's like first job
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
to
it's
teach
always
them
the
the
best.
ropes?
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
be like,
so to me, when I pick my staff, it's always like I see them as family. Really, because you spend most of your time at work, right? How I only have a few hours with my family at home, but 8 hours in a day,
Yeah.
I'm with my staff. And you know, if you pick someone you can see as family, it makes it more enjoyable because you don't want to go work and not enjoy it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so same thing.
Once again, she's being extremely humble. She keeps having this problem where she chooses so well and she wants everybody in her staff to succeed so much that she'll push them into getting like different jobs that are better for them. She knows them so well that like her
That's a great
her
leader,
dental
though.
assistants, like she'll have them for years and then she'll be like, you know what, I think you will be better as a dentist, and we'll like push him to like apply to dentist school and help him out and do like all these things. And they'll go on and leave her as like, your greatest employees, you're kicking them out by pushing it, which is great. But at the same time, like I'm like, you have a problem with like pushing people to do better, which
No,
is
that is a
great.
great
But then
leadership
she keeps having like to do everything on her own because she pushed somebody to be better, which is great. But then she'll be like, all right, now I have to find somebody else to do it. She'll continue to run the cycle.
Yeah, 6 years from the dental. I opened that office in 6 years, and we have 3 dentists and 2 hygienists already. They
Yeah.
graduate already.
Come out of it. Yeah.
But like selfishly, I want to keep them to myself. But I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because I see
can't.
their talents,
Yeah.
and
That's
they
great.
gotta.
a great leadership quality, but also like that. What a great character.
No, they are very, very amazing. So them,
Yes.
right? Yeah, even from front desk, Bridget,
Yes. I was gonna say
Jay,
your friend at desk before. are
Bridget,
Great.
Jay,
I love them.
and Renee, Carolina. And
Yeah, they
Amy.
can't leave.
Yeah, I know, but
I have some questions about your dental office, but before I you don't have to do that on record. Okay, but my last question for you guys is, Chao has been around for 10 years. what's next in the next coming years? What do you want to see happen?
Wow, that's a huge question. We our customers love what we have, and Vietnamese have so many dishes. Carlos did a good job. Just once in a while, he will switch, like not switch, but like in the weekend, he will make bánh xèo, for example. Have you guys tried that?
What is it?
Bánh xèo.
It's like these crispy yellow Vietnamese pancakes, kind of. Yeah.
Or a bún bò Huế, or something different to try, in the weekend. But I would love to see Chao go to other locations.
I would love that too.
But it's because our time is very limited. And staffing is a huge issue too. Amanda, if you bring me staff, yeah.
Looking for a dental hygienist?
Yes.
Here.
If you bring me staff, I will totally bring it closer to people's home. Like a Como downtown, profitable, and then also too like this. Carlos did an amazing job with this.
So good.
How can we share to more people know about these fresh ingredients? The ice creams now, it's a lot of work already, right? And so what we could do, I told Carlos the ice cream. He said, you should have put in a little container, and so people come and during the summertime they can
put like a single door freezer right next to the fridge over there.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a while.
I'm having a hard time keeping up with the demand that we already have.
Like again, if you bring staff for Carlos to help Carlos.
I need a bigger ice cream machine.
All right, so the next coming years you need more staff. Got it.
And there's a lot of things that we could do. Like I said, produce more ice cream and put it in a small container that people can enjoy it. A lot of people like you don't even know the ice cream.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So there's ingredients like pâté. You can even take it by that home and put a spread. It's really good for holidays.
We do sell our sauces, all the sauces individually
the
too.
sauces,
But I
even
think,
this sauce here too. It's not just hoisin sauce.
Do you make this one? You make this too?
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
It
That's
tastes
so
different.
impressive.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed by both of you.
Carlos. Yeah.
You guys are pointing at each other,
But
what a good partnership.
And the yogurt. People don't like you know the yogurt, but there's still a lot of people doesn't know about the yogurt. So we still have a lot of things that to do even just here. I think we have to master it here even more.
The problem with expanding is too that we want to continue to keep this and maintain this quality, which we're doing a great job now with our current staff. But once we expand somewhere else, the trouble is keeping it exactly the same and sourcing the same things, because we're making everything from scratch. So it's not as easy to do as we would get it from Cisco. But we've been working on it. We've been working on that and trying to sell more of the sauce. Now, before I'd have like 3 sauces that like we would sell and they'd be there for like 2 weeks. Now I'm making like I think 50 sauces to sell in every week. I'm having to pack them up.
You're gonna have to get like another kitchen just so you can go.
And then I also make the same way that I ferment these peppers. I'm fermenting habaneros, and then we have a smaller version of that, which is like we call it alboracha, which is like a spicier version of this. But you get some of these awesome flavors from it too, because habaneros are very floral. Before when they burning you, they have a really nice floral flavor. The fermentation kind of takes the floral flavors up and then the spicy level a little bit down. So it burns, but it sits and it doesn't destroy your tongue, and then you just get these nice floral tones in your tongue while it's burning with the garlic. And
you need to start your own podcast. Because like you said, he nerds out on it.
There's a guy who runs a food podcast right over there.
Amanda, I told him this all this time. I said, Carlos, you need to. He's really good, right?
I love how in depth you go.
He's a natural.
Okay, how do we find you? How do people find you?
Here, the Chao Viet Street Food.com. We're here at 7854 East 96th Street
In
in Fishers, Indiana. Phone number
We're
is
borderline Fishers, Indianapolis.
Yeah, Fishers is the other side of the road.
We purposely went to.
We're
to
still
be closer
with the
to-
people, you know. We're
Yeah.
not, we're not Fisher. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
And we had such a great time sitting down with y'all. I just want to, it's impossible to convey that through a camera. Like how,
Yeah.
I mean, we're like verging on the point where it's like almost too much time, I think. But like we had such a great time and we could keep going.
let's hang out.
Yeah.
What
And
are
we're
we
going to keep
doing?
hanging out.
Yeah,
Also,
what are we
once
doing?
the camera stops rolling.
Also, the dental office, 4550 North College Avenue.
Paradise Dental.
Paradise
Paradise
Dental.
If you need a dentist like I do, I'm looking in the camera. Hit them up. Apparently, you get great gums if you go there.
I think sometimes that's genetics.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you to Chris Plansettler behind
Thank
the
you
camera.
so much, Chris.
You're doing such an amazing job.
Thanks, Chris.
And shout out to Chao for hosting us. We
Of course.
enjoyed
You
it.
both.
anytime.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Sorry, I'm not
No,
very
you
good.
did
I'm very
great.
shy.
You did amazing.
You know, Carlos always
great.
sometimes asks me to do.
We're going to
like,
eat.
We're gonna eat now.
Yeah. Okay.
One time, Carlos told me that you took all those pictures on your iPhone when you went to Vietnam.
Yes,
Yeah.
my
This
iPhone.
is. They're not.